Hans was the first to bring it up, and now people are all wondering the same thing. Why is Meghan holding her friend's belly in such an awkward way? It's an unusual moment, and the cameras captured all of it. The very media Harry often criticises for bothering her is right there, recording everything. Still, she appears totally at ease. She's smiling, almost like she's enjoying the attention directed at her.
And then when he started kindergarten, it was like...
It doesn't seem accidental. It comes across as deliberate, like she was fully aware of what she was doing. Lights on, cameras rolling. Just like Taz mentioned, the entire moment has that staged feel from start to finish. Meghan appears focused on staying at the centre of attention, no matter where she is. There's even a part where she pushes Kelly's head away, and it doesn't feel playful. It looks controlled, almost like she's adjusting things as they happen. This doesn't come off as a relaxed, natural interaction. It feels more like a posed moment that's been stretched a bit too far. You've got a nearly 50-year-old woman holding on, posing, leaning over her friend like it's some dramatic high school style photo moment. It clashes with the image she usually tries to present. For someone who speaks often about being authentic, this feels overly rehearsed. That strong "look at me" energy doesn't line up with the message. And then there's that clip. Watch it closely, because this is where it really becomes noticeable. The moment she hears they're only taking one photo, her expression changes. You can see a bit of irritation show up. It happens quickly, but it's noticeable. People caught it right away. After that, the whole interaction starts to feel even more off. The posing, the closeness, the overall energy. It creates some confusion about what kind of moment they're actually trying to present. It doesn't come across as fun or light-hearted. It just feels awkward, a bit overdone. Instead of looking polished, it leans into something more exaggerated, like a performance that didn't quite land the way it was meant to.
She is at some kind of very inconsequential, unimportant charity fundraiser, the Alliance for Children. I'm sure it's great charity. I've never heard of it. I'm sure they do great stuff. You know, it's hardly a prestige engagement.
Then there's this red carpet appearance. Meghan walks in like it's meant to signal some kind of big reset for her. But this is where it gets confusing. No one really seems to know what she's actually there for. There's no clear project tied to it, no strong message, nothing concrete being promoted. It feels more like she showed up, expecting the cameras, the photos, and the headlines to carry the moment on their own. That approach makes everything seem rushed, a little unplanned. The messaging around her right now feels scattered, and people are starting to pick up on that. With so many things shifting at once, the timing of this appearance only raises more questions. The Netflix deal, once seen as a major Hollywood connection, has reportedly run into a rough patch this week. And now it looks like she's trying to stay visible regardless. So what's the move? Step onto a red carpet, strike dramatic poses, and lean into the spotlight as much as possible. But instead of coming across polished or intentional, the whole thing feels awkward, forced, and slightly out of sync with everything else happening.
It definitely suck up a lot of the flashbulbs and a lot of the attention, a lot of the air in the room. Now it's very much the opposite. It's like, do you really want to be seen with this person who's like literally been slagging off the biggest player in Hollywood?
To be fair, she did make it on stage this time. That's something people are clearly noticing. It presents a very different image compared to sitting farther back at a major event like the Oscars, where it's easy to fade into the background. This time, she positioned herself right at the front, exactly where the cameras would catch her. She made sure she was visible. Even with that, the moment doesn't fully come across as natural. It feels a bit too carefully arranged, like each step and expression had already been mapped out instead of happening on its own.
Good evening, everyone. How are you doing tonight? I am so grateful to be here to be able to celebrate my dear friend and co-founder of Alliance of Moms and board member for Alliance for Children's Rights.
At the same time, The Sussex squad moved quickly this morning, trying to shift the narrative. They pushed the idea that Meghan's influence in fashion is still on another level, pointing to the Ralph Lauren dress she wore. According to them, it's sold out almost immediately, and they're using that as proof her impact hasn't gone anywhere. And sure, there may be some influence there, but the way it's being promoted feels a bit too eager, like there's an effort to steer the conversation before criticism can really settle in. What really caught people's attention wasn't just the outfit. It was the moment she stepped on stage to present an award to Kelly. That's when the focus changed completely. It stopped being about fashion. It became about her presence, her tone, and what she chose to say in that moment. People started paying closer attention, noticing everything from how she delivered her lines to her body language. As the rest of her time on stage played out, it became clear this wasn't just a simple appearance. It turned into a moment that had everyone trying to figure out what might be happening behind the scenes. This is where things start to feel genuinely uncomfortable, because this topic always brings tension around Meghan's public image. There's ongoing criticism tied to her relationship with her father, especially with reports saying he's currently in the Philippines undergoing medical evaluations for a possible prosthetic leg. That detail alone has people talking, and not quietly. A lot of people keep pointing out that she hasn't visited or shown any visible involvement. That contrast keeps coming up again and again in discussions. That's where things become more complicated. At the same time all of this is happening, her public image seems to be shifting in a noticeable way. We saw it again this week with that video of Lily. She's clearly leaning into a mom-first identity right now. The way it's being presented feels intentional, like she wants that to be the main thing people connect with her going forward. This is where opinions start to divide. Some see it as a calculated move, something tied to branding, timing, and public perception. Others think it could just be a natural shift in how she wants to present herself at this point in her life. Either way, the change is hard to miss. The image is moving away from a sharp, business-focused figure and towards something softer and more personal, centered on being a hands-on, dedicated mother. And that contrast is exactly why it's drawing so much attention right now.
Director of Alliance of Moms and board member for Alliance for Children's Rights, Kelly Zeichman, as she is honored with the Francis M. Wheat Community Service Award. So many years ago, Kelly and 4 friends recognized the need to create a supportive community specifically for young moms who are in the foster care system. And from that idea, Alliance of Moms was formed. Now that moment and that idea has evolved into powerful programming that serves families and pregnant or new moms to equip them with the tools, training, and community they need for their motherhood journey ahead. Now, given that Kelly is a mom, she is an amazing one at that, it'd be easy to assume that this light bulb moment came when she became a mother. But if you ask her, she will tell you it began much longer ago. It began for Kelly not as a mom.
That Instagram video this week didn't just get a bit of attention. It set off conversations everywhere. Some are even calling it a major turning point. Like this was the moment Lily was introduced into the public spotlight in a much bigger, more deliberate way. The way the video was put together doesn't feel random. It comes across as carefully timed, carefully framed, and very intentional, like every detail was meant to land a certain way with the audience. And that's what makes people take a second look. It doesn't feel like a simple, casual post. It gives the sense that there's a deeper purpose behind it, something more planned than spontaneous. Almost like it wasn't just about sharing a moment, but also shaping a narrative at the same time. But what really caught people off guard is what you notice when you actually listen closely. There's a clear emotion in her voice, and it almost sounds like she's holding back tears while speaking. That small detail changes the entire feel of the video. What seems soft and simple at first suddenly feels heavier, more intense, and much more loaded than people expected. So now people are seriously asking, why use Instagram, not just to relaunch a brand, but also to bring your child into it at the exact same time?
Being a mom and the kids and stuff are the last thing that she kind of has to say.
That combination is what's making people stop and question the intent behind it. If the cause really matters, as much as it's being presented, then why rely so heavily on the same platform you're speaking around? It creates a mixed message that's hard to ignore. There's a contradiction that becomes more noticeable the closer you look. They're not directly involved in the case being discussed. They're not plaintiffs. There's no official connection. Yet the messaging is being pushed in a way that suggests strong alignment. That gap between actual involvement and how it's being presented is what's raising eyebrows right now. And it brings people back to the bigger question. If the goal was to make a real impact, wouldn't the stronger move be to step away entirely and take a clear position? Some are saying the boldest statement would have been a full boycott of Instagram, like they've done before. Instead, what people are seeing feels like a balancing act, trying to push a message while still staying in the spotlight. And that tension is exactly why this situation is getting so much attention.
It's been very unfashionable in cool celebrity circles for a long while to put your kids in the spotlight.
The whole situation feels like a mess. And it didn't just come out of nowhere. It's been building up behind the scenes for years. Reports say Netflix has been frustrated for quite some time, and it's not hard to see why.
Harry's really got any say in this anymore because we know that Harry does not want the kids online, right? That's his opinion, that these are evil people farming your kids' brains and that you need to be really careful before you put your kids' images online because AI is going to steal it.
Major headline-grabbing revelations were going straight to Oprah instead of the platform that's actually paying serious money for exclusive content. That alone creates tension. Then it becomes even more chaotic. Harry releases his book before the series even comes out. From a business perspective, that throws everything off balance and weakens the impact Netflix was expecting. What makes it more interesting is that this wasn't some sudden fallout. The tension had been building quietly over time. Ted Sarandos appeared willing to overlook a lot of it, possibly due to personal connections, keeping things steady, but there's always a limit to how much can be ignored before it turns into real conflict. Now it seems those cracks are too obvious to overlook, shifting to the breaking story of the day, because this one is getting a completely different kind of reaction. It's been announced that Sky News royal correspondent Rhiannon Mills is moving into a role working directly for King Charles, and that decision is raising serious questions.
You had a massive issue with Google, right? And you thought Google was super evil, right? And Google own YouTube. Would you put this show on YouTube? No, you wouldn't.
She's not just any journalist. She's a central figure within the royal rota, someone closely connected to that system. So seeing her move into a senior palace position has people questioning where the boundary between reporting and public relations actually sits. This was first reported by fellow royal journalist Kate Mansi in Times the Times, and the details are spreading quickly. The King has brought in a well-known royal correspondent to take on a senior media advisor role, with Mills joining the Royal Household Press Office as Communications Secretary to Charles and Camilla after more than a decade covering the royal family for Sky News. That kind of move isn't minor. It's a major shift, going from observer to insider. And it goes further. The connections run deeper. Her partner, Andrew Parsons, is already working as a photographer for the Prince and Princess of Wales.
Pretty clear case of corruption from the King's office.
So now you have media and palace roles overlapping within the same household, and that's only adding more fuel to the conversation. Mills is shifting from reporting on the royal family, sometimes with a critical edge, to directly shaping how they're presented to the public. Her reporting has generally been seen as balanced, but she hasn't hesitated to question palace PR in the past. After the fallout from the Sussex Oprah interview, she openly said that a dignified silence wouldn't be enough to handle the situation. That kind of comment makes this transition even more notable. She's travelled around the world covering royal tours and has had direct access to key figures, including Prince Harry. He even gave her an interview back in 2015. But what people still remember is that tense exchange during the 2019 Africa tour. That moment continues to be talked about, and now it's coming back into focus with this new role. Everything about this move is being closely watched, because it says a lot about how closely connected the media and the monarchy may actually be behind the scenes.
So what do you hope to achieve from it? Is that why it's important for you to come
So now she's officially stepping into the role of the King's Communications Secretary. And this is where the debate starts to pick up quickly. This isn't being seen as just a routine career move. People are looking closely at what it could mean behind the scenes. I mentioned this earlier because for anyone who still questions how close these connections can be, this situation makes it harder to dismiss. You've got Rhiannon Mills, a Sky News royal correspondent who has been deeply embedded in the royal rota for years, now moving directly into a senior position inside Buckingham Palace. That kind of transition isn't minor, it's a significant shift. Going from reporting on the system to becoming part of it. And that's exactly why people are side-eyeing it. It brings up bigger questions about independence, influence, and where the boundaries really sit. When someone moves from covering the royal family to helping manage their public image, the lines start to blur in a way that's difficult to ignore. And the more people examine it, the more they begin to question how separate those two worlds really are.
Now looks increasingly like public money is being used to buy up and silence influential media voice.
And then there's the bigger picture, the one more people are starting to question. It's not a small issue. Some are even saying that traditional outlets like Sky News aren't drawing the same level of attention they once did, pointing to lower view counts on certain online videos as a possible reason behind a move like this. So yes, you could look at this as a smart, strategic career decision. But the concern being raised goes beyond just one person changing roles. It's about how closely connected the royal rota is to Buckingham Palace behind the scenes. There's a growing belief in some circles that certain royal stories, especially the more sensitive ones, don't always get fully explored or challenged in public coverage. That's where the tougher questions begin. A lot of focus is now on how information is handled and who shapes the narrative, particularly when it comes to King Charles and the ongoing discussions around his health. Reports and commentary suggest that palace briefings may play a larger role than people realise, sometimes influencing how stories are framed or even which angles receive attention. Then you have names like Tobin Andrea entering the discussion. He's a senior figure in the King's communications team and also Rhiannon Mills' boss. His background in major media organisations is one reason people are connecting the dots and looking at the situation from a wider perspective. What makes this feel uncomfortable for some observers is the timing and the overlap. It's all happening at once. A journalist is moving from covering the royal family straight into a powerful PR role, now working within the same system she once reported on. And it doesn't stop there. She'll also be dealing with many of the same media figures she used to stand alongside in the royal rota. For critics, this is exactly why they're questioning how independent that entire ecosystem really is. It raises concerns about blurred lines, influence, and how stories might be shaped behind closed doors without the public fully realising it. Whether you see it as a standard career move or something more layered, one thing stands out. This situation has triggered a serious debate around transparency, trust, and how royal coverage actually operates behind the scenes.